So I don't want to get excited on the unique view.
That was a good toe crack.
Yeah, dude, these are mine. I got 2 there. I got 4 on that one. It's like dominoes.
JT,
Mike D.
last night we watched a movie.
We did.
We went and saw The Gentleman. The Gentleman, directed by Guy Ritchie.
Yes.
What'd you think?
What did I think? I didn't really have much expectation, right? Okay, here's what I liked about it and what made it enjoyable for me was I feel like it could have been very easy with the way that the story was told to be like confusing because you have that multiple viewpoint thing. You have like you have a guy telling another version of the story instead of just having it straight. And I feel like it lended itself to potentially be very confusing.
Yeah.
And I actually found it really easy to follow. And for me, that's saying something because I get lost in the details pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So that was nice.
So it's like it establishes Hugh Grant as almost like a narrator.
Yeah.
It's like a really clever framing device. It's him.
I did like the framing.
To Charlie Hunnam's character about the events, which there was like a small portion of that in the trailer, and I had no idea that it was actually going to be used practically throughout the entire movie.
Right.
But it actually was like a really good way of
I liked
portraying the narrative.
It kind of interjected. It like broke the story up into manageable pieces.
Right. And it was fun because it's like an unreliable narrator, and you're getting the different characters' perspectives. So, which is kind of like
you're getting his twisted view, right? And then like the truth kind of comes out later on.
Right. Because everyone's got their own idea of the truth, and like the real truth lies somewhere in between all of those.
Yeah.
And so not everybody knows, exactly what's going on. They all have their own pieces of the story, and as it fits together, you, as the viewer, pick along the breadcrumbs and like find the trail of the story and like figure it out for yourself.
It's like those books. Remember, you'd read them and you get to the bottom of the page and you can make a decision, and that would put you on a different page.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of that.
Yeah, and there was
you
like
can build your own story.
Yeah, they actually did show like a couple different ways that the story could go just by like Hugh Grant's character being clever and like telling the story his way.
Right.
To
benefit him.
They put it in different ways. You didn't know which one was actually going to be the truth.
Right.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. And kind of like following along the different characters' perspectives is something that Guy Ritchie has done in his past films. So that was kind of like a nice return to seeing that, where it's like this movie was practically a whodunit, except like the crimes kept happening throughout, and like
it's more like a who's gonna do it.
Yeah. As the heat's turned up and like the body count starts piling up, you are trying to figure out like who's behind each of these things and like who's gonna be like the wizard behind the curtain directing it all.
And who's next?
So yeah, and yeah, you don't know who's gonna get killed off. So there are some surprises here and there. It keeps you on your toes. So jump in front of the camera. Our acting. Any words on the performances?
I feel like everyone did fine. It was like one of those movies where you could tell they took the time to find people that fit the role well. Right. It didn't feel like, it's like we wrote this for so-and-so, but they weren't available, so we got Matthew McConaughey or whatever. Which, you can feel in a movie from time to time.
I think everyone overall did a great job. I think Hugh Grant in particular, I really loved his character.
Yeah.
He was like a goofy, sleazy, private investigator dude. That's just like, I don't know. He was
I wouldn't have anticipated that from him.
Yeah.
So that was good.
Thinking back on like what I've seen from him, that might be my favorite role of his. I'm gonna give The Gentleman a 7 out of 10. I thought it was a perfectly solid film. There was a couple things story-wise I wanted to be like tied up a little bit better, and there was some characters that were, I felt like a little bit too exaggerated. Yeah, it basically just came down to like, I feel like the story could have just been a little bit tighter and like how everything wrapped up.
There could have been like a little more development to add some depth to parts of like characters or storyline or whatnot. But I'm sure we'll get into that. I can't give it anything higher than a 7. I can't.
So it's 7 as well?
I'm gonna go 7, yeah.
So for the first time, I think ever, GM Movies is in full agreement.
We're tied.
7.
7 out of 10.
7 out of 10.
Yep.
The Gentleman gets 7 jars out of 10. I would recommend this movie to anybody that like enjoys a good crime caper. Just like,
it's a good like story following crime movie, right?
It's a really fun story to watch unfold. And like, I mean, anyone who's a Guy Ritchie fan should definitely go see it. But like anyone who enjoys any sort of like mystery type movie or anything with dealing with just like skeezy, scuzzy gangsters and like figuring out like who did what and who's gonna kill who and like waiting to see what happens next. I don't know. It's a fun movie to watch.
I would recommend it for, I guess, to the same kind of person, right? Somebody who wants like that crime, fill in the blanks, like figure things out on the fly movie. I do like the framing of it. It's
a cool framing device.
You're seeing things happen as they happen, but it's being told in like a predetermined way from Hugh Grant's character. But some of what he tells is skewed, and then you find out later. I do like that aspect of it, sort of revisiting and correcting things.
Yeah.
It's like, or there's things you see and you're like, I'm not getting all of that. Like, there's more to this, and then it comes back and it adds that extra layer instead of just like telling you a black and white story. So I like that. If you don't get bothered by like missing details or like lack of character development or like them introducing, in my opinion, like needless extra storylines to the plot, like if that stuff bothers you, it's probably not your movie. But if you just want to sit back, turn off, I feel like I've said this about other ones before, but you just want to check out and like enjoy a film, right?
Do we make a sound for spoilers, or do you add it in?
I can find a sound.
So let's talk about The Gentleman.
Yes.
So
lead us off.
Matthew McConaughey gets shot in the back of the fucking head
to start the movie. Yeah.
And it's like, I don't normally like that sort of thing. Like, okay, the character dies at the beginning.
If that's what ended up happening, I would have been pissed.
Yeah. Because that's a very cliche thing. I've seen that in a lot of movies.
Right.
And it only works if it's like, okay, this is like you show like the last day or two of this character's life and it all revolves around that one character. It doesn't turn out that he got killed at the beginning, which is part of that really cool framing device. And so that was like, oh, okay, like that's actually really cool that they did it that way then. Because
you're kind of expecting that going into that scene.
Right.
And then it flips and you're like, okay, like now I'm with you. Now the rest is a sort of a mysterious gift.
Right. And it just happens again and again, and like when it doesn't happen and like a real thing happens, you're still like, is this real, or is it gonna like turn out to be, a fabrication and changed up? So it keeps you on your toes, like wondering what's gonna end up being real or not between all these different characters' perspectives. And then like you find out that Charlie Hunnam has been tracking Hugh Grant's character, so you think that Hugh Grant's like this all-knowing,
detective guy,
omnipresent narrator and reliable source, and you find out that someone's been on the outside of him, tracking him the whole time. So there's always like another step outside of the box, like looking in to see the story from.
I did like that, yeah. It was like, I got you, but no, bro. I got you. Like, I know what's going on.
It's like they're always just trying to be on top of each other like figuring out, what their next move is going to be. And that really factors in to like the rival gangs and everything. They're all trying to figure out like, what their opponent's next move is.
Right.
Because they're trying to anticipate it and be on top. And like everyone wants to be that top dog. And like, doesn't matter who you are, because Matthew McConaughey is on top because he's the lion.
Yeah.
It's his jungle.
And then like, what's the Dry Eye?
Yeah.
Was kind of wanted to take him over, but the older, like the Chinese guy, like
Lord George, Lord someone,
something like that. Yeah. Like
his father.
He was smart enough to know like, hey, don't mess with this guy.
Yeah, there's a pecking order.
He's ruthless and he'll like kill you. And the young guy's like, I don't care. I'm going for it type thing. And
right.
It's like, hey, you got what was coming.
What did you think of the pig?
Oh, the pig. Oh man,
that might have been my favorite part.
That was, dude, I was dying.
And
when that happened.
So there's a lot of laugh out loud funny stuff in this movie, and mostly it comes from dialogue, from just how the way they talk to each other.
Right.
But there's one scene in particular where they drug this guy up, drive him out to a farm, and film him making love to a giant pig.
A pig making love to him from the sounds of it.
See, I thought it was him doing the business to the pig.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was the other way around.
Oh, see, so now we're...
I thought the pig was entering the building.
Now we're at odds with each other.
Yeah.
Now we have to see the video.
I guess, yeah.
I thought...
Because he was saying, like, you're going to be a bit sore, right? Like when you go through the door too quick.
Okay.
Right?
See, I thought they, like, got him so drugged up that he was just, like, ready to go.
Oh, no. I thought drugged up, like, passed out
okay.
So Pig could go have some fun.
Well, either way, not a flattering thing to be proud of.
No. And I was like, dude, if I was in that guy's shoes, man, I just want to, like, off myself. Yikes. I felt like the whole them trying to find the people's daughter thing was a little, like, off the beaten path.
I feel like it was kind of shoehorned in.
Yeah.
So that they could introduce that, outside party,
yeah.
Which, like, it turns out that the Russians are behind everything.
They could have done it a lot easier without having to, like, introduce more characters.
And that was part of the, having all these extra characters that are, like, thrown in so that they can, like, piece together a story. And I feel like they could have done it with less characters and stronger characters. I really liked Colin Farrell as like the coach with the boxers.
Yeah.
But then the boxers were kind of like goofy. I feel like they didn't really contribute that much to the story.
No.
And it really, maybe they could have tightened that up and like left out the druggies, or like, they could have pieced it together better with less characters and like had it just be more direct and straightforward of a story. It
was clear that Matthew McConaughey's character really like valued the relationship with his wife, right?
Yeah.
That was sort of like the big like, I'm gonna kill you because you touched my wife kind of thing. But there wasn't much for like backstory there on like how they met or like anything.
Yeah.
And you're just supposed to like, we just know that
it's just like, okay,
this is how it is. Like a little, like if they met like dealing drugs or whatever, like I feel like that would add some value to the story that we didn't have.
Yeah, it didn't. I almost feel like it did, but it didn't like show them meeting in like college or something, because there
wasn't even like a one-liner.
It had the introduction with him like selling drugs, and like that's how he got into the business, was selling drugs in college.
Right.
Like that's where they could have met, and then that would have been like the connection. But
right.
Yeah, so there's stuff like that, and like we never found out like what his link with Charlie Hunnam's character was, because he seemed like a very loyal,
right. Like he's been around for a while, or they had some sort of deep meaning.
Right.
But we don't have that either.
No throwaway line or anything relating to their past.
Like, remember when we met when we killed that guy? Or I don't know, something that would build trust, right?
Yeah.
The one thing that bothered me, and this is so minimal, but this is like, in shows like CSI, when they've got like videotape of something, and they're like, oh, zoom in and enhance that. you know, and then it zooms in and it's all pixelated and then it just enhanced to like an
Yeah.
HD picture. And you're like, that's not how it works. Like, that's not how video works.
Right.
I felt that when he's recording Dry Eye talking
with
to
the
the
Jewish
prospective
guy.
buyer
Yeah.
at it was like an arena game or
Yeah,
something.
some hockey game or
So
something.
he's filming him from across a sports arena.
Yeah.
Which the video, fine, he had the big zoom lens, right? I
Right.
get that, like you can zoom that far. But later on, it turns out that he had audio of them talking
Yes.
that was like crystal clear.
But I think that's actually a goof, because when he shows the video to Charlie Hunnam's character, remember he had their mouths lip read, and they wrote out a script for it,
Right.
and then he recited the script. Hugh Grant and Charlie Hunnam recited the script together.
But then
so
later
that they
it turns
could patch
out
it out.
that he had audio, right? Because they end up replaying that scene
But
as if it's shot from him with audio of them talking.
yeah, but he never got audio. At
They-
least, as far as I know, he never had audio.
my impression was that he got audio, and I'm like, you're not going to get audio from across a sports stadium
Yeah.
of two people talking.
I think, I don't know if it was a mistake filming. That's the only thing I can chalk it up to.
That's not even clear either.
That's something that I was actually going to bring up, is when Matthew McConaughey brings out that laptop to show the Jewish guy this video clip of him, consuming.
Oh, that's right. He had audio on it.
Yeah.
So how did he get it?
Exactly. Matthew McConaughey has the video on his laptop and hits the play button and
clear as
shows this
day.
perfect crisp video with audio, and it's literally the video from the movie, from filming the movie.
Yeah.
And it's okay, that's a little too perfect and convenient.
Right.
So
I don't know. The little tech things like that bother me sometimes. Like, that's
Yeah.
not
I think that was just a straight up goof.
sure.
That's the only thing I can chalk it up to. With that, let's go into our comment question, which I didn't warn you about, but we'll
Nope.
see. We'll see how you do. So, name one of your favorite criminals in a movie. So we got all these gentlemen that are actually unsavory characters. So, your favorite gentleman thief, or assassin, or gangster, or anything like that.
I'm an Edward Norton fan.
Of course.
So I'm going to, without putting much thought into it other than you just bringing it up now, I liked Edward Norton in The Italian Job.
Mm.
I thought he was a good bad guy. But I watched that, and that was right when I started on the Edward Norton train.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, this is a cool character. I dig it.
Which is funny because he didn't want to do that movie. He did that one to fulfill contract obligation with the studio.
Got it.
So they just forced him to be this character, and he still did a great job with it.
Yeah. That's when you know you're good, man. You got to do something you don't want to do, and you still knock it out of the park.
Yeah. One of my favorites is from a movie called Les Samurai, which is a French film from the 60s. The main character, named Jeff Costello, is a hitman, and he follows Bushido code, and is just this silent, cool assassin that is very reserved and always direct and following his method. And yeah, that's my pick.
Cool.
So let us know who your favorite gentleman criminal type character is from one of your favorite films. And otherwise, tell us what you thought of The Gentleman and all of those gentlemanly criminals. And
comment,
subscribe,
all that stuff.
and we will see you in the next video when we are going to see
Dude, I'm so pumped. Sonic
the
Hedgehog.
Hedgehog.
I'm pumped, man. It's gonna be good.
It's gonna be
It's
fucking terrible.
It's gonna be so bad that it's so good.
I'm excited just to do the first look.
Yeah. Oh, dude.